Do y'all still talk?
He'll send a random text message every so many days, and like the other day he texted and wanted to hang out, and then
But like,
2 days.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Little Black Book. You know what time it is. Talking to you guys obviously about Married at First Sight, dealing with Olivia and Brett, and dealing with that whole text situation, text gate that happened as well at the very beginning of the episode. We're going to break down some things around why would your ex, who says they're over you or says they don't want to deal with you no more, text you after. So yeah, guys, if you're new to the channel, do me a favor, do yourself a favor, like, share, subscribe, and then click on that bell button for notification of the uploads. And then for those of your returnees, you know the game already. You got the minerals, you got the minerals. Alright, cool. So let's talk about it. So dealing with Married at First Sight, dealing with Olivia and Brett, we've gone through the whole episode and seasons of seeing them move a bit mad. Okay, I think everyone can say safely that they are either on Olivia or on Brett's side. They can see faults on both sides and can just see that they were chalk and cheese in a sense, right? I personally believe that they could have worked together if there was enough adequate conversation and adequate help around dealing with their individual fears, and then creating that safe space for them to be able to conversate, talk, and really be able to support each other in that area. We already know that Brett's fears were to do with the feeling of abandonment, and I think the final straw was when she went to her mum's house against his instructions, and obviously for her feeling was feeling like she would be lost, made to feel invisible, made to feel like she would be quietened due to his very large personality, and also as well his very overbearing feeling of wanting to save rather than wanting to express and have freedom. And if you know anything about money, there are often two sides that people fall on. Money can mean freedom for some people, and money can mean security. Now what we're seeing is that from Brett's side, money is security, and on Olivia's side, money is freedom. And so when you meet a freedom versus security person, it's very difficult to reconcile unless they have an actual conversation about what they're trying to achieve. Okay, the person who's freedom sees money as a way to get out of something, to experience something. And for the person who's obviously having money as security, it's to make sure that I'm always good, to make sure there's always a roof over my head, to make sure that, listen, I'm never feeling like I'm out of pocket to achieve what I want to achieve, right, and get things done. So the conversation, obviously from that aspect, was quite a difficult one for both parties unless they were going to be sensible about it, mature about it, and had the tools and the resources to have this type of conversation. Especially if you're not made aware that you see money in different ways. So it was about the how much she made, but it's more about the way she saw finances. She saw her finances as freedom. And many people are in that boat. They see their money as a way to explore. Whereas Brett was looking at the money as a way to achieve certain milestones, security. Okay, it's the difference between the employee, the E in the quadrant, and the person who's a business owner. It's someone who takes that risk, the investor. And so both have their positives and their negatives in that respect. Just depends on what you yourself per se want out of your finances. But the bigger thing I think was from this episode when we saw Olivia talking to Armani.
Random text message every so many days, and like the other day he texted and wanted to hang out, and then
But like,
2 days.
And I think Armani made a statement that was, Olivia's put everything into this marriage. And I believe that if we can say that Olivia's put everything into this marriage, I would also say that I believe that Brett has also put a lot in this marriage as well. They just reacted differently. They were two chemical compounds that were unstable, and when brought together, there was a chemical reaction that didn't bring a stable compound at the end of it. Do you know what I mean? So, unfortunately, yes, Olivia put a lot into it and she tried to make it work. They were just speaking two different languages, unfortunately. And so when it came to the situation where she said she received a text, and I think we have to deal with this in a really... You have to be impartial when we're dealing with these situations and reviewing. But one does get the sense that when someone does something like this, you do kind of try to fall to a side. And I think Brett texting her after is not the problem. It's the contents of the text. You decided you wanted to move out. You decided that this wasn't going to be working for you. You were very cold and callous with the saying, no thank you. You knew exactly what you did. You really were, I would say, class it as rude. Because when you left originally, you didn't have to say the no thank you. You didn't have to say it in that way. You didn't have to just move out and pretend as if you said you were moving out, but you were moving your cats, but then you moved your whole self out. You didn't have to do all of that shenanigans, right? And for me, when you see that, the way that you exited was inappropriate for me in dealing with another human being, especially one that was trying their best and you were trying your best, regardless of how we saw it. So for me, I see that when people are dealing with each other, they're oftentimes what I call power plays. We do things to acquire power. And the power here is that I'm in control, okay? And so when people break up, there is a power dynamic that happens. The power dynamic that can happen is that the person who broke up with the other person oftentimes should often be feeling better. Okay, because oftentimes when they break it up, it's because they're feeling better. They're feeling like they are comfortable, they're strong, they're out of their way, they're good to go, right? And the person who got broken up with will feel some control issues because they have been surrendered they've been surrendered not at their will, but because it had to be permitted, right? And so sometimes you can feel a loss of power and control. Well, Brett's the one that broke it up in this instance. And in this particular situation, Brett had
random text message every so many days, and like the other day he texted and wanted to hang out, and then
But like,
2 days
texted and say, hey, do you want to go out sometime? Boy, if you don't get your loins together, what do you mean, do you want to go out sometime? Like, what? Hold on a minute. Are you forgetting the reason why you said you want to break up? It wasn't because it wasn't working. It's because of foundational issues, you said. Have those foundational issues been sorted? No. Yeah, so why are you texting her after saying, do you want to go out sometime? You know what I mean? I can understand a text that says, hey, do you want to talk? But do you want to go out after? You never developed a friendship like that, as Olivia said. You never developed that friendship. So why would it be that after we've broken up, you've broken it up, that you think that I want to go out with you? Why text me that? Over texting me that. And this is one of the hardest things to understand. You don't need to understand. You just need to ignore. I know it's going to sound mad. But when someone does that, like, you know, let's go out sometime. But why? You know what I mean? Like, we haven't addressed the issue. I want you to understand something. They hadn't addressed the foundational issue. Let's go out sometime. What? Why? You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to. No. Ignore it. Ignore that type of text. Why? Because the text has a preface which is not going to be what you're going to be wanting out of this. Trust me. Because if that person hasn't addressed the reason why you broke up, which was foundational issues, but gone straight to let's go out, they're not trying to address those issues. They're just trying to potentially, and I say potentially, trying to fill their ego. Waste their time. You know, because maybe no one has come into their vicinity just yet. It's a time-wasting exercise for them. Alright? And so the next text that I think they sent after was that...
and like 2 days after, he sent me a text message saying, if you want to go date, like it's fine to go date.
I know it's fine. Thanks.
Thanks for
Sorry, hold on a minute. Once you broke out of me, you ain't got... Once you broke out of me and we're not friends, and we don't have that good relationship after, don't think that you can come and tell me that you're good to go and date whenever you want to go and date. That tells me everything to know. Now, unless, and I want to put this caveat in here, Olivia's not telling us the whole story. Now, unless there was certain text in between that time where there's context of a conversation, that text being sent to somebody when you've broken up with them is a power play move. Okay? So let's say that Olivia hasn't really said anything in the text that would initiate that kind of conversation. Then that's a power play move. You say that to gain control and also as well to establish where that person could be standing. I will say this. It's like playing Battlefield. Okay, I need to establish if you're at B7, C7, E7, F7, so I can send my torpedo. You understand? Yeah? And so sometimes what we do with our exes is that we're trying to assess where were you? Where are you? Sorry, where are you now? Where are you currently? So that I can assess how good I should feel. Now, if you haven't moved on, but I've moved on, I can feel a sense of excitement. I've done something that you ain't done yet. Yeah? I'm not the problem, you are. Right? And so what can happen between two parties in that respect is that the person who's texting you is just playing Battlefield, wanting to see where you are to have an ego boost. Okay? If they find out, oh, you're in a relationship now, they may feel slightly hurt by that. But they won't tell you, but they may feel slightly hurt by that. There's a victory egotistically in finding out that you haven't moved on yet. Oh, that means you must be still feeling it. Oh, that means you must still like me. Oh, that must make you feel like this is still heavy for you. As for me, I'm good. You know what I mean? Like, I look at it that way. Now, the flip side is that Olivia had some more messages and didn't tell us, which would be very sneaky, because that's making it feel as if the guy just came out of nowhere and texts his text. You know, and don't get twisted. Guys do come out of the blue. Your exes will text you out of the blue, these kind of stuff. But yeah, oftentimes it's just a tap in check. You know, testing the water to see where you're based. Do I think he could have potentially been feeling a bit sorry and wanted to go back to Olivia? I think if it was, then it's because he hasn't got anything else. That's the only reason why he's going back. If he was the reason why he's going back is because he hasn't got nothing else. Because the way that he ended it so abruptly, that was again, I believe he ended that way because of his fears. But the way you abruptly with a no thank you, and now you're texting what you're texting, testing the waters, more than likely the dating outside of that, he hasn't seen what he needs to see. He hasn't received anybody at that moment. I wouldn't say at that moment. He hasn't received the person that he thinks he should receive. And so it's going backwards to see if it's still good, potentially, or there's still some hope in that area to go back. It's an ego filler. It's an ego boost. And we don't need to be there. So, you know, end it on this. You send somebody some shot glasses as a present. It's very petty for you not to take those glasses. There was no need. Bro, you're not in pain. You're not dying. Take the shot glasses. Sell them off if you have to. Pass it on to somebody else if you have to. But, you know, leaving a shot glass there on purpose, it's messy. You understand? So, guys, yeah. That's my thoughts on the text gate situation with Olivia and Brett. Let us know your thoughts down below. Comment down below. Let us know your thoughts as well. But don't forget, like, share, subscribe. Click on the bell button for notification of the uploads. And we appreciate you. Mineral. Gang? And don't forget to get your merchandise, you know. Grab yours.